manufactures the Freedom No Pull harness, as well as high-end dog collars trimmed with luxury fabrics and ribbons. If you've ever been to Super Zoo or Global, you've seen 200 design. The booth is fabulous. All of their products are made in USA or USA sourced components. They also work hard to help the pet community by donating to rescues and adoption groups. Their goal is to get people and their dogs outside, walking and enjoying the world around them. Two Hounds Design was grown from a single woman. I wonder who that was. Working in a spare bedroom of her home to a full-fledged business with 42 employees. Wow. I know that's probably right. Now, alphabetical, I've got Candace Daniolo. And she's with Dogaholics. And Candace is the founder of Dogaholics. She works with other pet business owners that she calls pet-entrepreneurs to succeed in a passion that she follows. In 2006, Candace created and opened a retail store in Chicago called Dogaholics. Within 3 years, she had 3 locations and over 20 employees. In the last decade, she has employed 150 people while running a successful 7-figure business in an urban competitive environment. The road to building her business was paved with intense obstacles and struggles, expansion and contraction that almost put her out of business many times. But she learned quickly how to turn in crisis into growth opportunity, bringing millions of dollars into her business, allowing her to now travel the world and live a stress-free life with her canine kids. She took her initial concept of brick-and-mortar location and turned it into multiple revenue streams: retail, services, online informational products, books, merchandise, and now business consulting. We have a bunch to learn from Candace. Charlotte Biggs is our next panelist, and she is with the International Boarding and Pet Services Association. They are a sister association and sponsor of WIPIN. Charlotte is Chief Operating Officer of IBPSA and co-founder of the Professional Animal Care Certification Council. Charlotte brings real-world expertise as the original owner and operator of Stay and Play Pet Ranch, which she and her partner founded in 1998 and grew into one of the most successful, full-service, all-natural, and holistic pet care facilities in the country before successfully selling it in 2013. Having grown a successful pet care services facility from the ground up, Charlotte is uniquely qualified to offer insight and real-world experience to not only IBPSA, but also to us. Before entering the pet care service industry, Charlotte enjoyed a successful 20-year history in sales and marketing management in the pharmaceutical industry. Wow. Charlotte Biggs. If you guys aren't impressed by these, but we're like, I can't believe what they have to say. Here is the next one on our panel. It's Gretchen Meinberg, who I met for the very first time, even though I talked to her before I even relaunched this darn thing. So I love that she's here. Gretchen is the owner of Pamper Pets Bed and Biscuit with locations in Ohio and Indiana. She also owns Urban Tales Pet Resort in Houston, Texas, and Willowwood Pet Resort and Training Center in Columbus, Ohio. That's 4. Her Indiana facility was the first gold PCSA accredited daycare facility. Gretchen has a degree in biology and veterinary technology. She is an active member in Pet Care Services Association since 2002. She was elected to the board of directors in 2006. She is also a founder of May Castle Consulting LLC and helps individuals achieve their dream of operating a highly successful pet care business. She is a leader. Gretchen also trains pet care facility operators and their staff on the operations of Atlantis software to ensure that they are using the program to its utmost capacity and each facility is efficient in their procedures. She actually listed her children and her husband and her 5 fur babies, including Butterscotch, Charlie, and Carter. And they also have 10 chickens. Gretchen, thank you. You have 8 chickens? The pecking order is what we call this. The next one is Jamie Rowe, and she's with Hello Pet Supply, and she is a rising star finalist in the Pet Industry Woman of the Year. Jamie Rowe is the founder of this and pack leader of Hello Pet Supply. It's a USA pet product distributor based in Colorado. When she isn't throwing dog toys around the warehouse, she is hiking or skiing with her husband and 2 human children. Her business partner is Mr. Cha-Cha, a rescue chihuahua with discerning taste buds. She also houses Leo the Rescue Catahoula leopard hound. I actually know what a catahoula is, and 2 guinea pigs, Brownie and Mr. Muffins. Elo isn't your typical pet product distributor. They forage for US-made only, natural and local pet products that give independent pet boutique owners a competitive advantage. They are the distributor with a personal touch. They strive to be the largest exclusive distributor of USA-made products in the world. Elo Pet Supply was created out of love and passion. Jamie Rowe. And our last panelist it ends with a mist. Susan Briggs is with Crystal Canine. So Susan, right next, there she is. She is the founder of Crystal Canine, offering business management tools customized for the pet industry. Susan has over 12 years experience in owning and managing a full-service pet resort. And Off-Leash Play is the service she loves, and co-founded the Dog Gurus to keep dog play safe. She's a proven coach and helps owners work on their business versus in their business. Anybody relate to that? In the My Successful Pet Biz program, Susan's focus is to support professional pet service care facility quality standards by co-founding the Professional Animal Care Certification Council. Susan is also an author, a speaker, and a leader for certain. Susan Briggs with Crystal Canine. Amazing! So here's what I want to do. I'm going to ask them some questions. Not everybody has to answer all of it. So when you feel, we're not going to be shy, raise your hand. If you guys have a burning question you want to ask them, yes, this is all about leadership. So what I want, and I'd love each of you to think about this, what is the best leadership techniques you use in your business? Like if there was one thing that was just like, this is it, and I want everybody to know it, I wish I'd known it earlier, what might that be? Alicia, you want to start since you have the mic? Go. You can sit or stand or don't sit. It's working. What is the one thing that you couldn't live without? Your best leadership technique?
Curiosity, and always be learning. The curiosity, I tend to be an observer more than a leader. I wouldn't call myself a natural leader. I'm usually the one off in the corner watching everybody else, and I'm observing and I'm seeing what's happening. And then I start asking why are they behaving that way? Why are people buying this product? Why are people doing these things? And the answers to those questions will get you where you need to be.
Is that a great answer? All right, Susan, do you want to answer what? We're going to go down the line on this one. What's the best? You have to pass the mic. Got it, girl. What's the best leadership technique that you use?
I have tried to really focus on having greater clarity of vision and purpose, and then communicating that so that the team is working together and they understand the why. It's the whole connecting the dots, and I think that you get better performance when, and sometimes we're not clear, and sometimes that takes that introspection as to what is most important. So it's the clarity and communication and connecting the dots.
Do you keep a sign or something? Like I was just reading, who wrote 4 Hour Work Week? Tim Ferriss has a sign above. He said, here's the sign I look at each day, and it said simplify. So do you have a clarify?
I have a word I do every year and a little life or compass image on my wall that I look to make sure I'm staying in my.
Is that a good tip? Having something on your wall that you're looking to stick. Is it clarity? High heels and a pair of stairs. Is it clarity or clarification this year, or what's your word?
My word for this year was pace, which I'm not sure I fulfilled that as much as I would have liked.
Are you trying to increase your pace or slow it down?
Slow it down.
Okay. Thank you. Good.
Okay, so for me, it's always been passion and authenticity. When it comes to leadership, I've always been a strong believer in leading with how I feel from the inside, the passion that I have for what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. When it was incorporated with what I was doing, when I owned and operated my pet care facility, it was for the quality of care and the delivery and the whole thing. But when it came to leadership, I fully believed that leading was leading, not managing, and that people had to see it. We see it in Shauna. Okay, when you come here, you see it. It is her passion for women in this industry. And that is what I've always evoked when I was leading, if you would.
So help us in a new way where you're like, so you're saying my passion. Do you say to yourself before you talk to your team, I just need to instill this in them, or do you have an intent? How are you living that?
the actions behind that is a little bit of what Susan had to say. It all comes together. Tell them the why, okay? Tell them what it is that you want to accomplish and why you want to accomplish that. So when I owned and operated a pet care facility, it's important because they're living, breathing, loving creatures that we do it this way. So the why behind what I did and the clarity of why we're doing what we're doing and the importance of the passion behind achieving this goal. Okay, this is what we did.
Good. Gretchen.
Hi. So I started my leadership kind of journey off as kind of setting an example. Like in my first business, my first pet care facility, I did everything along with my team. And show them that, you know, I'm going to do it with you, we're going to do it together, we're going to be a team. As my company started growing and I added on new businesses, you know, I couldn't always be in each location. I mean, my locations, one of them is 12,000 miles apart, so I can't be there at all times. So what I moved into now in my leadership is developing my team and developing them to be leaders and to lead with examples and let them, it's been hard for me to give up that control, but I have found that I have some really great people on my staff and I need to let them lead now. And so we have teams. I don't have one leader. I tried to run a facility with one big, you know, operations type person. So we develop a team of leaders and they work together. Naturally, one of them is probably the stronger leader of all of them, but they resolve issues together. So they feel like they have this unity. And then they'll bring me into the loop, you know, just to kind of get my feedback, but I've really let them have control. And it seemed to free me up and let me focus on me a little bit because I didn't do that for a very long time. And so now I'm to that point where for me to be a good leader, I have to focus on myself too and let them, you know, come up with the ideas and stuff. So it's letting them feel like they have a voice now.
And to be able to do that, you had to put the markers in place. Like they knew where the revenue generation, I mean, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, I had to set that example, and I have all the procedures in place. Now they have to implement them and go with it.
Nice. Taking time for yourself.
What is that?
What does that mean?
So I think part of leadership is laughter. And especially when they don't always go exactly the way you want them to. And we have one customer, like this is the one customer you don't want to mess anything up. And we messed it up like twice. And I remember just going down and looking at Valerie's shipping and I'm like, how did this happen? And we just had to laugh. Of course, Murphy's laws, it's going to happen to this one customer, the one you don't want it to. And you just got to laugh because not everything's going to go great. And one thing that I do every single night, and I try, if my husband's around, I share with him, but I go to this website called Odd Stuff Magazine. I don't know if anyone has seen it, but
They're all writing it down though, right? Odd Stuff Magazine.
every single night, it's 6 to 8 images with a funny little caption, and I look at that on my iPad, on my bed, and when I'm done, I click it off, put it to the side, and I go to bed, and I go to bed with a smile on my face. Because I know that's what's gonna help me get through tomorrow, no matter what happens. I'm falling asleep with laughter.
So it could be, it doesn't have to be odd stuff, it could be anything that sets your intention for your evening or your sleep. That's good. Nice. So now I have to go after everybody's said all these wonderful things. And you can, because you can do it. That's right. A lot of my leadership style is similar to Gretchen's, I guess. And really in the early years as you're building your business, it is about creating the systems and putting things in place so you can train and delegate to your team. And there really are only two types of employees. There's the people who are willing to do it, and there's the people who aren't willing to do it. Most people want to do a good job. And if you have any kind of chaos or issues within your company with your employees, it's really a direct reflection of you. And I know that that might sound really harsh, but if you're not willing to show up and be committed or have that passion, that positive attitude, or be able to get through the difficult times and be the cheerleader or even give constructive criticism or feedback, then your managers aren't going to know how to do that either. They watch us, they see our every move. And I had a big shift in leadership style when for years,
our rule and our policies with our customers through my brick and mortar stores and the daycare, is that whenever a customer came in, they had to leave happy. No one could ever leave upset. No one could walk through my doors angry. So we changed our return policies. We created much more customer service friendly policies. And then as the company grows, you get a lot more employees and you can't control their not their interacting, but sometimes they bring their personal issues to work and then there's conflict among the team. And once I changed my policy to also be employees should never leave angry, and so that every person that ever walks in our business doors and leaves should always be going home happy. And once I changed that to the team, it was a really game changer. I mean, we got to have, it was a little bit longer conversations in a meeting maybe, or resolving conflict before they ever went home, just so that they didn't get home and stew on that and then bring it to work again. I think talking about any conflict right away and making sure that everyone's on the same page is another tactic, just really it's perception and perspective of the issue. And I don't know, it would be my leadership.
By the way, that's a great technique, do you think? I mean, and she's just saying it's so simple. Sometimes the most simple things, being curious or saying, nobody leaves angry. We're gonna stay here and fight. No, you don't say that. You say, no one leaves angry, but you are fixing it or saying, what will it take to make you happy?
Right. And then when I say like what, some of you might be thinking like, why was somebody leaving angry? But when if you have a doggy daycare, a lot of those employees care, they might even train a little bit differently. Not that you do training while you have your daycare going on, but they may have differences of opinion of how to work with the dogs or even like work ethic. I've got some team members who are really hard workers and they feel like their coworkers are slacking, and that can create conflict. And really, there's tons of issues that can come into place where they just get stressed out. They shouldn't go home that way.
And so do they have the same policy? It's like nobody leaves, let's get happy here.
They do if they're willing to open up and talk about it. And so sometimes, it comes to the grapevine, but my managers and my leads as well. I still do have a manager of each location, but we've kind of in front of the house and the back of the house manager or supervisor as well. And so they need to know the pulse of what's happening and they need to bring it to the everyone else's attention.
Nice, thank you. So all of these panelists are around for the next 3 days, and you can ask them questions to elaborate more if it's an issue that you're addressing. Does that sound fair and reasonable?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now I'm going to throw it out. Each of you have mentioned one thing that you really do. This is the next question. Anybody can share, all of you can share different. If you guys have a question, we're going to open it up. But my question is, if you had some advice about what not to do in a leadership position, like what was your biggest stinker? You know what I mean? Where you're like, okay, I learned not to do this. It helps us sometimes to see what those things were too. So anybody got anything?
I'd say on that ego, I let my ego get in the way a lot in the early years, and I was very reactive, and I also wanted to get things taken care of right away, and that wasn't always the best tactic to take. So now, when a request comes in or an issue does arise, if I don't have the time to be clear and focused about it, I don't let my ego react right away. I just at least acknowledge the information that's come to me. I let that employee or team member know that I'm going to get back to them either by the end of the day or by the end of the week on the request that's come in. They feel like I've heard them, and now I have time to really think about the reaction that I'm going to give them. Because you can't change the statements that come out of your mouth after it's been said.
Really? Thank you, Dennis. That was great.
Thanks.
I would say don't not take care of yourself. Does that make sense?
It did.
Is that right? Okay. I, in June, decided to not take care of myself. Actually, it was like a whole year before that, it's not important. And June, my body's like, guess what? You have the flu and bronchitis. You're going to be in bed for 10 days. Good luck. And I was down and out. It was horrible because I had not exercised. I would skip meals all day. As women, we nurture, right? We take care of everyone else, and we're last on the list. Dogs, kids, spouses, family members, and that's what I did. Everything else, even to my sugar levels would drop, and I would almost go and throw up because I'm not eating all day. Just stupid, isn't that? Like, look at, you're like, what the? So I am slowly, I'm still not there. I was talking to Julie and Elise about this, just taking care of myself and putting myself first and be a priority. And I love Julie. You're like, I feel, I'm selfish about my fitness time, but that's what we need to be, is we need to put ourselves first, because then we can be better leaders if we're taking care of ourselves. Like in the airport or airplane, where they say the air mask. What do they say about kids? Who gets it first? You. The adult gets it, and then you can help the child. So that is a constant.
Good advice. Thank you. Anybody else? We're going down the line. This is good.
I agree with her, but I have another point. I got a great book from a great woman over here over a year ago, a self-care book, and it's taken me a year to let it sink in. So that's great. I mean, you do have to for yourself. I think my biggest mistake is letting my emotion and my passion about my business get me upset if it's not working out or an employee's not working out. I think you stated if it's not working out, it's my fault. And I needed to step back and make sure that what I wanted was clear. And I think that's kind of our theme here. We all need to say, what do I want? And make sure that what I want out of the business and how I want things done is clear, and that they all understand that. And if they don't do it that way, I wasn't clear enough. And I shouldn't get upset with them. I have to step back and calm down and kind of regroup and say, okay, how else can I explain this to them? And not let me say, no, this is the way it's supposed to be, this is the way you have to do it, and get upset with them and let my emotions, because if my business isn't working, it's my fault, it's not their fault.
Nicely said. And that's taking responsibility, which is also a leadership trait. Yes, everybody? Yes, everybody?
Yes.
Sure.
So the only thing I want to say is to confirm what you all just said about self-care, because I'm not there yet, and I'll be the first to admit it. And it's something that I struggle with on a daily basis. So I'm hoping by verbalizing it to you all, that I'm making an emotional commitment to myself to put myself first.
All right, all the next 3 days, Charlotte, what did you do? Self-care today? All of you, I want you every time you see her to say that, just self-care. We'll love it. We'll love you out of it. Anything other? Okay, and anything you would say not to do? Oh, not to do. Oh, well, yeah, you don't have that much time. Touche.
Anything for you, Alicia? Nothing not to do? Don't answer angry. Can't take it back. So that's a rule that I have anytime I get, communication from an employee or communication from a customer. And I do check my email all night. I don't self-carry it. So,
all right, don't listen to any of these.
Just don't answer angry, because
It's a great phrase, don't answer angry. To go along with that, I will say one thing that I learned, I'm sure, from a coach that I did, because I'm always educating myself, and it was a sign I put on my desk, and it says, is this true, or is it your ego? That was a great question for me. Is it true, or is it your ego? And sometimes it's not true. Somebody gets you, and you're like, yeah, that's not true. I was accused of something, it's just not true. Or they say I'm whatever, not true. But sometimes it's like, ow, that was my ego. That was my ego. Yeah. So it helps me. All right. What thinking did you do before you decided to step into your next thing? Like, you guys are from a garage to 42, from this to this. Let's go online. What thinking did you have to do? Because, it takes confidence, but was there anything that did you have somebody, a mentor, or what thinking did you have to do to get you to the next step?
at the very beginning.
Anytime along. Okay, I'm asking, you guys can ask questions too, but what's the thinking, the frame of mind you had to be in to say, I'm taking this home?
Where do I want to be? And I do that thinking also when I decide not to take something on, because saying no is a form of saying yes. Deciding no, I don't want to go this route because I still see possibilities in this route, and this route is where my heart is. So you can say no to say yes.
What a good, well said.
I think because I am involved in several different things, so for me, again, having that clarity of the vision for me in my life and how I want to serve is very important, and making sure things fit. But more recently, as you gain wisdom with age and all. I think it's really listening to myself and what I'm feeling when things and opportunities come across my desk, and on honoring that. And sometimes it is by saying no, that this isn't within my vision and purpose and isn't a good fit. And so being able to, even if you said yes, like I shared with someone that recently I actually withdrew a proposal that I had said yes to because I realized it wasn't going to be good for me, which was a huge thing for me to do that. I've never done that before in my life, and it felt really good. So sometimes that's the best thinking is to really, what do you feel in that that emotional response, I think, is very wisdom. Just like your body will shut down, we know what we need to be doing. We just don't always honor and listen to that. And I'm trying to do more of that.
Well said.
The thoughts I went through before I stepped into my first leadership position was a lot of that self-thought. And that was many years ago. And can I do this? Do I have, that questioning of yourself and going into your own intuition to say, do I really have the knowledge, do I have the strength, do I want to make this commitment? But I had a mentor back in that day, and he said to me, one of the best indicators of a good leader is somebody who can make decisions, because life isn't perfect. So if you're confident in making decisions, if you wanted to get from point A to B, but the decision you made took you from point A to C, you just make another decision that gets you back to B. And honest to God, I have lived with that knowledge that life is not perfect. And as a leader, you're leading and you're making the best decision you can, and you've got the clarity of where you want to go. If your decision didn't take you there, you're somewhere on that path, so make another decision and go on. So that's the thought process that I know.
Well said. Is this helpful to you guys?
Yes.
Wow.
I think my thought process was, after I had 2 facilities, is an opportunity came to me, and I was afraid to take that risk. And fortunately, this man walked into my life just at the perfect timing. He actually came to me for consulting in the pet industry. He was in the assisted living healthcare industry for many, many years, and he was a self-made millionaire, literally a self-made millionaire. And he was selling off his 30 assisted living facilities to his 4 children that were taking over the business. And he wanted, at 65 years old, wanted to get into the pet care. So that's like a huge risk for this man to change his life. But he taught me how to take risks, and I wanted to buy another business very far, like halfway across the country. And I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I even thinking about this? And he said, just, you have to take the risk. You can do it. You've done it twice, and take that risk. And so then after that one got going, I decided to do another one and maybe another one. I don't know. So just always take that risk and be confident in yourself, because, I see him at 65, now 70 years old, and he's got 3 pet care facilities. And it was a total life change for him. So you can do it, and you just got to be confident you can do that.
Wow.
So I think it was probably 2 years ago, I had a complete epiphany in a conference room in Denver. Beautiful, gorgeous views, the mountains, sitting around in suits. I was a process consultant for a technology company. So boring. So we're doing all these process maps. Sorry, no, is this being recorded? So we're sitting in, and I looked around the room with all these suits and fancy titles, and I'm like, no one wants to be here. There's not one single person that's like, oh my gosh, this is my passion. No one wants to be here. And I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm just making money. That's it. So I just went home, got a big sheet of white paper with no lines. That's my thing. And I just started writing. And it's like, your soul, leading by your soul. And just, it spoke to me. And I'm like, okay, I'll take this experience from here. And I used to work for a distribution company. I was a pet photographer, and I worked at Anderson, and I put it all together. You know when a dog spins and then they lay down? I felt like I've been spinning and spinning and spinning and not comfortable. And I finally sat down, like, this is good. I like this here. So that's a great story, isn't it? Yeah. Nobody likes what they're doing.
So yeah, I guess when you're given an opportunity to move forward, I think that making decisions is always important. indecision is the death of an entrepreneur, right? You, once you make a decision, you can fix any consequence, so either it's a good consequence or it's a bad consequence, but you can't fix it if you never make a decision. But I would definitely suggest making that decision to grow your business and move forward once you have the systems in place for you to leave what you're currently doing. To be truly successful at anything, you have to have those systems that are generating revenue for you before you go and try all these different things. You know, and I'm guilty of this myself. There's, you know, the shiny object syndrome, right? Where you want to do this, and you want to do that, and you want to do this. But if you leave the business that is generating the most revenue for you without it literally able to run itself, it's going to suffer, or an employee will quit, and you get sucked back into it. And so I would just, if you're going to make the risk, make sure that your main money maker can run without you.
Good advice all the way through this. Is that not true? Are there any of you, I have one last, yeah. What questions do we have?
So my question is, because all of you have been so successful, and I'm sure you had that time where you were like going along, it's all okay, but it was like, and then you had that, what they call the hockey stick moment, or that moment where all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, this is like a lot more than I thought it was going to be, or, you know, when you actually traveled. What did you have in place that maybe you didn't realize you had in place? Or what helped you? What tool helped you get through that massive, fast growth that you look back on now, you're like, oh, thank God, I did that, or I made that choice?
If anybody has an answer.
It's systems, and you know, I mean,
Systems. Hold on tight and pray.
yeah. I mean, Google Sheets is, I mean, the Google apps are free. Well, I guess most of them are free. And just to start documenting everything, creating steps 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, you can you put grids in there. Like all of my team, we have big spreadsheets that focus in each area. So like for finance and bookkeeping, we have one Google Doc. For marketing, there's another Google Doc. And for all our doggy daycare, every shift list is in there. And that way I can get in there no matter where I am traveling or what I'm doing, and update them as I need to, and see where the team stands. All our finances for the sales and goals and what we're meeting every day are there. So it's just making it, think about as you're creating systems, how to set up yourself for freedom to be able to do what you need to do, but still be the leader in your business.
Well said. Anything else on big jump, drop off? Okay.
So
what's the technologies what we should notice that?
Yes. And because I was a system process consultant, and so that's all I did is go in and interview someone for weeks at end and document what they do, build it into a flow chart, and then create a user manual. So what I have found is that as soon as you hire an employee, and I do this with all my employees, they have their own training folder in Dropbox. Whenever they do a new process, they have to document it. And start early, because if you come to them one day and be like, hey, could you document everything you do? I think they're gonna think they're gonna get fired. So do it early and do it all the time.
Was that great advice?
Yeah.
Anything you get in, I'm in agreement with you, because it's harder afterwards to ask them to do something. Maybe they don't think they're gonna be fired, but they think, and I have to do all my work too?
Yeah.
I get that, we get that. Different companies work. Anybody else? All right, any other person have questions? I have a wrap-up question. Have you learned something already?
Oh, yeah.
This is always so rich, I think. Here's the last question I have. For all of you, I just want to go right down again. Number one, and I love this question because it always surprises me. What is the biggest surprise that you've had in your business, in your leadership role as a human? You know, the biggest surprise where I was going along and that really was a surprise, you know, or if you don't have that one, your final thoughts that you want to leave this group of women here this first night with. So biggest surprise or final thought?
Biggest surprise has actually been here at the event, because as we've gone along and I do that. Oh yeah, I do that too. And I'm realizing that we as leaders are a lot more alike than we realized. A lot of us here, you know, I said this earlier, I think a lot of times women tend to be listeners and nurturers, and a lot of us here just listening to you you guys, you're all fixers. I mean, you're all people who saw a problem and fixed it. I mean, that's not a typical woman type role. So we've already got this obstacle ahead of us that we've got to get through. So we're all fixers here, and we're all really doing something cool. I think that was a surprise.
You're all like, guess what? I am a fixer. I love that. Good for you.
One of the biggest pleasant surprises that I've had this year, I think as you become a better leader, and that's something that I think you've worked on all the time, and part of it is that focus on self-care and being an authentic leader for what is true. I had an opportunity to take a bucket list trip this year. I went to Antarctica for 2 weeks, so totally unplugged. And my team knew I was doing that. We put in systems to make sure I could do it and came back. And you think that you're a leader for people in the business, but then when you have them give you feedback that when my employees then took trips, they were unplugging. When they then are things that you're teaching them and role modeling as far as working in your genius zone and letting people help you and outsource and get help doing things, and they come back and say, from you, I deserve to have someone do that for me. And it's those rewards you get back from the people that you're inspiring, that you know they're going to have better balance in their life than what you have. That to me is the biggest surprise and reward as a leader.
Nicely said.
Yeah.
And I have to comment on that too, is that I watched Susan and what she's gone through this past year, and I'm striving to emulate that, so, yes. But I think the greatest surprise for me as a leader has been clearly, if you build it in the right way, they will follow. So, I mean, they will follow. It's like if you're a leader and you're leading a group of people down a path or up a mountain range or whatever, they will follow. They're watching you. They're stepping where you step. They're doing exactly what you do. They're looking for leadership. And if you don't deliver, then they are a little bit lost. And that's all embraced in the descriptions of clarity and processes and all of that. But leadership really is about being that. And I visualize that I'm in the front walking this group up this path of a mountain. So they are watching. So you've got to build that path, and they will follow right in your footsteps. So.
My biggest surprise probably happened about a year and a half ago, right before our busy spring break at my second location. At that point, I had a general manager, and she just walked out. She had a breakdown, both personally, business-wise, and walked out. And so I was going to the facility to run it. This was the day before our biggest check-in of the year, and 3 of my employees contacted me and said, we want to meet with you now. And I was like, oh God, they're all going to walk out. And what am I going to do? And so I'm driving there, an hour drive to kind of think what we're going to do. And I walk in and they said, we want to do this together. We can take over, we can do this together. And that was the start of my leadership teams in all my facilities. And so they solved my problem for me, which was just a huge relief. And I thought for sure they were all going to leave me, but we had a good base of employees, and these were 3 employees that I've been wanting to take over more leadership, and that other managers, they don't want it. They don't want the responsibility. And here they did, and she was kind of stifling that. So it was a huge surprise and just a great relief.
Nice.
I think my biggest surprise, let's say in the pet industry, has been just the power of relationships with women. You're so great at communicating. We may not think that, but you really are. I came from the hardware industry. If anyone who's worked in hardware, it's a little different. It's about the deal and ego, this and that. And here it's this relationships. It's more warm and squishy. Is that the right? No, just strike that. But you guys know what I mean. It's fuzzy. It's warm, and it's not just about the deal. It's about who you are and what your product is and what is your passion and your story. And I think that's such a huge component. And I didn't realize what I was getting into when I jumped into this. How amazing that is. So that is my surprise.
Next.
Let's see, I've been in the pet industry since I was 23, so it's been a long time now. And I always knew it was going to be fun, which is why I picked it. But and that it has been. And I think what's been surprising over all the years was that even though I feel like in our little market, like in your little neighborhood, it might feel competitive and you don't want to share secrets with your nearest doggy daycare, your nearest retailer. What I find is that when you come to events like this, or if you network at other trade shows and really connect with other business owners, everyone's pretty open and they really want to share their knowledge. And that I know also doesn't happen in a lot of other industries. So we are in a wonderful place.
Yay.
Well said, everyone. So I want to personally thank each of you for stepping up. I called them and said, you want to sit on the panel? They go, what do we have to do? Okay. I mean, it was like they just jumped in because they're leaders and they're wonderful. They wanted to share with you. I think they deserve a standing ovation for all that they just gave us and give a big stretch. Please, ladies, stand up and express our gratitude and our pride. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll let you guys go on. We got music coming on. Stretch, everybody, big stretch.